Hi, Trudy here, One Grounded Angel. This is an angel card reading for the week starting the 16th of August through to the 22nd of August 2021. So we have an Aquarius full moon happening this Sunday. And if you're thinking, oh, that sounds a bit familiar, I have a bit of a deja vu, that's because we've already had an Aquarius full moon this year. Some years we have a double full moon in a particular sign, and this year it is Aquarius. So, yeah, very interesting. You might see a repeat of some of those patterns from last month when this last came up. So I'm shuffling the cards now for Monday and we'll see what comes up. So, serendipity. Does this bring up that John Cusack movie for anyone? It does for me. So serendipity, and you can see by the four-leaf clovers here, it is often depicted as being a happy accident or something that happens by chance. So in terms of spirituality, the thinking is that luck isn't really a thing. Things happen to us because we've drawn them into our lives or because the universe has brought them in for whatever reason. So this is asking you to really work with the universe to increase that flow of fortune your way. And part of the way, one of the main ways we can do that is just make sure we're not blocking it. For example, I am someone who had for a very long time a belief that good things don't happen to people like me. People like me are always going to struggle. And there's a lot of different reasons I had that, from my childhood, etc., and possibly past life stuff as well. But it's only shifting that belief that I've been able to attract good opportunities coming my way. And they're not luck, they're not fluke. They might look that way to people from the outset. There's been a lot of hard work going into that. And of course, a lot of the good things that have happened to me, I've made them happen as well. That saying, the harder I work, the luckier I get. That sort of plays into this as well. So what can you do to help have good things happen to you? Are you accidentally blocking them? We don't intend to block ourselves from good things, but sometimes that's just what happens. So that's another thing you might like to look at. But if nothing else, the thing to take from that card is just a reminder that you do deserve good things to happen, and there are lots of good things ahead for you in the future. So keep an optimistic outlook, and that doesn't mean that we have to be, in that toxic positivity zone of pretending everything's wonderful. No, it's about understanding everything is what it is, but we hold hope for the future. So Tuesday's card here is magnify your intentions. The word intention is a really strong one. We had a card on Saturday about intentions, and it's really about being very focused on what we want to create. We can't have a scattergun approach. We're trying to do all the things all the time. It doesn't work. I'm using another saying. Sorry, this is going to get boring if I keep doing this, but allow me, just indulge me again. You can have anything you want, but not all at once. Or you can have everything you want, maybe it is, but not all at once. And this card says choose a specific goal to work towards. So if we're trying to do all the things, we're really scattering the energy and we're not sending a clear message to the universe, this is what I want. So it's hard for the universe to send in the energy to support us. Whereas if we've got a clear intention in one or two areas that we're devoting our focus, our time, our physical energy into, that's really making it clear to the universe, this is the direction I am going. And then, please help me. So you don't try and do everything at once. And that could be even, if it's not about your goals, it could be just about the things you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Are you trying to be excel in all areas, in family, in work, in health, in life admin? Maybe you just need to lower your standards in a couple of those areas and just accept done. Done is better than good. There's another saying. I got that one from Elizabeth Gilbert, but I'm sure it's been around many times. Perfectionism could be something that's showing up for some of you there. We can't try to be the best at everything. We've got to try and accept a lower standard just to have things done sometimes. And maybe sometimes we just decide, I'm not going to be able to work on this right now. I'm going to have to put this particular goal aside because there are other things that need my focus. Like I might have young children, they're going to need a lot of my focus right now. So maybe it's not practical for me to be focused on trying to run a marathon. Wednesday's card is retreat. I really love the colours in this, the gold and the purple together. They're so strong. So retreat, I'm in lockdown. If you're in Australia, you're probably in lockdown too. Maybe this is going to be like, come on, universe. Come on, we're already doing this. So if you are in lockdown, I'll come back to you. But for everybody else, this is really about taking some time out from the schedule that you've got at the moment. It might be literally a retreat if that's an option for you where you live and that's something you've already been thinking about. This could be a sign to do it, but retreat means stepping back from something. And this applies even if you are in lockdown, because it could be something that you're working on mentally. Maybe you're trying to solve somebody else's problem. Maybe you're trying to push ahead with a project that is, being held up for all sorts of reasons. Is there something you need to retreat from because it's just not flowing right now? And that retreat doesn't mean quit. It maybe just means hitting pause right now. So taking some time out there, and I think just getting some time to yourself. Again, if you're in lockdown, you're going, I have a lot of time right now. That's not my problem. But maybe you don't have a lot of time to yourself because you're trying to homeschool as well as work, etc. Look, even 5 minutes is pretty good. If you can give 5 minutes to yourself to sit and think, to meditate, to do something you enjoy, breathe, anything like that is going to be pretty helpful. It's just about short-circuiting that brain stuff that's going on. Probably said enough about that. Regardless of where you're at, there are opportunities to take breaks, and weird that we need to be reminded to do that, but here we are. Okay, so Thursday's card is Goddess. So last week I talked about the divine feminine energy in regards to the Aphrodite card. Same deal here. It's all about the divine feminine. So if you didn't see that, I'll just try and keep a really short summary here. Basically, no matter what gender you identify with, if you indeed do identify with any gender, we all have the divine masculine and the divine feminine energy in us, ideally in a balance, but that's not always possible. So this card is really about channeling the feminine stuff, which often gets buried because in this part of the world and many others, we live in a society that praises the masculine aspects, the aggression, the anger, the going ahead, the taking action, the trying to be dominant, and I'm not saying these things aren't reserved just for men or people who identify with men. It's all sorts of people, and when we're in that forcing go, 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 go zone, we're not channeling the divine energy, the rest, to hark back to this Wednesday card. I'm not saying that's inherently a feminine energy, but certainly being in flow is very feminine. And when we're in flow, we're able to balance that. This is a time for moving ahead. This is a time for stopping. This is a time for being active. This is a time for resting. The divine feminine's qualities are about sensuality. So some sexual expression is appropriate here. And we know there's a long history in the Western world of women being shamed for having sexual pleasure or sexual needs. And so it can be difficult for people to prioritise that or to own that. Things are changing, but maybe that's something you need to work on if you're finding it difficult to express yourself in sexual matters. It could also be about wisdom. And when I say wisdom, I can hear people going, that's not just for women, but when I say wisdom, I mean divine, like intuitive wisdom. I'm not talking about intelligence or anything like that, which is not confined to any gender either. But that feminine energy is all about the intuitive, the being in flow with spirit. So it might be a good time to look at, am I out of sync with what Spirit's telling me? Have I bought into fear-based energy that's out there at the moment instead of listening to what is my intuition telling me is the right thing for me to be doing right now? And what is the best thing for me to do that isn't bringing up these really fear-based kind of panicky messages that might be accompanied with those fear-based energies. That's how you know you're listening to the ego, or you're listening to something that isn't your intuition. Your intuition is very gentle and very reassuring. It hasn't got that self-righteous edge to it. What else did I forget to cover? The creativity, that can also be a feminine aspect, or an aspect of the feminine energy. Nurturing. I knew there was something key. Nurturing. Now, obviously, if you are a parent, you would be all over this already, most probably. But it could be about nurturing yourself. It's not necessarily about other people. And if you're not a parent, It could be about nurturing someone else. Perhaps there's someone else in your life who needs some nurturing energy. I'm not a parent. My nurturing energy goes on to my clients. So, there are all ways for us to bring that to the fore. And again, doesn't matter what gender you are. We're all here to nurture in some way. So that's Thursday. Gosh, I took a very long time to explain that one. Hopefully, I know I said here's a very short explanation and continued to give you a very long explanation, but I'm sure it was helpful, or I hope it was helpful. So Thursday's message here is Isis, speaking of feminine energy. So Isis is an Egyptian goddess. This particular card is about past lives. So I am so passionate about past lives. I find it really fascinating. I don't necessarily have an overwhelming desire to know all of my past lives. I'm just really fascinated by the way that so many of them have affected the energy I'm showing up with in this lifetime, the things I'm afraid of, the beliefs I hold, the wounding I have, where my stuck points are. And the particular form of energy healing that I do clears past life energy without needing to delve into it and know what it is. So anyway, if you are super interested in past lives, you might like to read Dr. Brian Weiss's book. That's WEISS, Many Lives, Many Masters. It's a New York Times bestseller, very easy to find. Or look up some of his like articles or videos. But you don't have to go into that. Really, this card is only telling you, or not only, but is telling you that the situation you're dealing with right now, the one that's going to jump into your mind when you see this card most probably, is related to something that's happened to you in the past. That could be in this lifetime. It could be literally something that happened to you 10 years ago and you're going, oh yes, that person that I was dating then is very similar to this, or the way I feel in that relationship is similar to the one I had when I was in my 20s, or whatever it is. So, but it also could be past life. And often when I'm working with a client and we can't find a cause for why they feel the way they feel, there hasn't been anything that's happened to them in this lifetime. It's past life. It happens so often. We are all not buried, that's the wrong word, burdened by the energy of unresolved issues from past lives. And our souls have come here to clear them, to clear that, to finally learn so we can move into the next phase. And that's a big part of what our souls are here to do. So if that speaks to you, definitely reach out to an energy healer who can help you with that. You might like to work with a shaman if that's more your jam, or you go to a past life regression expert if you really want the detail about what has happened to you in a past life. Personally, I have done that before, and it can be a little bit confronting. It can be hugely beneficial too. It's really up to you. But you don't need to go down that path. All you need to know is the reason this is coming up for you is not because you have a wild imagination. It's because something has happened to you that you're carrying the energy or the imprint of in your energy field, and it needs to be cleared. Here we go again. Abundance. This is Saturday. Lots of purples coming in this week. It's a shower of abundance. I spoke so much about this last week with the Serena card on Sunday. Again, it's about abundance, is believing we have enough of what we need, and we will always have enough of what we need. Primarily about money, as you can see the gold coins here. So if you are having financial problems, this is prodding you to take a spiritual approach. Now, obviously, the first thing to do would be to look at your patterns. Are you using money to make yourself feel better? Are you struggling for money because you keep giving it away to people who are taking advantage, or people who you are inadvertently enabling when you think you might be helping, but you're actually enabling them? Are you struggling to hold on to money because you have some limiting beliefs around money? I gave before an example of how holding that belief of good things don't happen to people like us. And it could be something around money with that too. People like us will always struggle. People like us will never have enough. All those sorts of beliefs can be with us. So that's something you might like to look at. You could work with, again, an energy healer around that. Maybe this is related to this card. Maybe there is a past life experience around money. Some of us have taken vows of poverty. You never know. That was in the past life, I mean. So you could clear that with an expert. And don't forget, we're not here to do this work on our own. We need to reach out to experts where we can. But more generally, if you don't feel there's anything deep here, it could just be a reminder to take charge of your financial situation and really make good decisions to set yourself up. So Sunday's message here is prioritise. This is great. We're heading into Virgo season, and that's the most organised sign of the zodiac. So prioritise means, I think actually, I'm going to pair it with this one, magnify your intentions. Really prioritise what is the most important thing for you to be focused on right now, or the most important two things, for example. And make sure that the way you spend your time actually reflects those things that are the most important to you. Because if it's not, then that means you're probably operating in autopilot mode rather than with intention. And that's really a cause for you to ask some questions about yourself. And there may be some deeper work to do there in terms of why do I give away my time to things that are not super important to me or are less important to me than these other things. For example, am I procrastinating? I know I've said this many times before, but procrastination is fear in disguise. We think it's laziness. It's not. It's not laziness. It's a deep fear of failure, fear of success, fear of what people will think. Lots of things coming up there. So that's something you might like to work with a coach around. But definitely getting organised around some area of your life. You'll know what this is. There was something showing up for you that needs a little bit of attention. And that's not to beat yourself up if it hasn't been happening for you sometime recently, I should say. This is the time for you to make that happen. So just a gentle wake-up call here. We can't be on top of things all the time. So this is Spirit saying, hey, you've gone off target. So yeah, getting on top of things, taking charge is pretty important here. I think there's energy around healing aspects of the past, and yeah, I also think this divine feminine stuff goes together here, the goddess and the retreat, getting more in flow. So kind of a real mixed bag here, but a very interesting one. Hopefully those cards are meaningful to you. They may take on a new resonance as the week goes on. So if you're not already following me, you might like to follow me on Insta at @OneGroundedAngel is my handle. One is an O-N-E, not the numeral. And if you're not on, well, if you're already following me on Facebook, you probably don't need this. But if you are on Facebook and would like to follow me, my page is called One Grounded Angel. You don't have to follow both, and you don't have to be on Facebook to see what I've posted there, but I pretty much share the same content across both, so don't worry too much if you're only on one. And if you want to find out more about the work I do, go to my website www.onegroundedangel.com, and there is a tab there, What I Do. Explains the energy healing a lot more. And don't forget that my work is not confined to geography, just as well since we're in lockdown. It's all over Zoom, and my clients are all across the world, which is fantastic. I'm sort of traveling through the screen to people. Thanks very much for being here. I hope this is helpful for you. Have a great full moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is about freedom, but it's also, interestingly, about the... I won't go too deep into this, but Aquarians can also be quite restricted. So it's often about the balance between restriction and freedom. We need to be free in some areas, but we also need to follow the rules in others. And sometimes people go too far in one direction and not enough in the middle. And we also need to remember that we need to have boundaries. Freedom often comes from the setting of the boundaries. What else do I need to say about Aquarius? Oh, very tech savvy as well. So maybe you might get some good things happening there around technology, or your friendships groups as well. Big networking kind of energy with Aquarius. So thanks for being here. Have a great week. See you next week.